This is a test video I'm recording to practice for streaming, coding, but I don't have my streaming set up yet, so I'm just going to record a video live and add some tests to my TypeScript library, mumulib. I have a couple tests added, and we will add tests for the rest of the examples. I know there's a better way to write playwright tests than what I'm doing. I just have a test.js script here, which launches playwright in headful mode. So I can see what the tests are doing. And then I just have my test cases here that I await in turn. So this is not ideal, but for writing the tests and getting coverage and watching the tests run with Playwright and making sure that everything is working properly, this is working for me. When the tests are done running, I just leave the browser open for an hour so that I can mess with it, make sure everything looks good. So if I run the tests now, we will test 2 pages, and then the tests pass. Got a bunch of console logs here, and then it waits for an hour once the 2 tests that I have pass okay. So for adding the new tests, let's see, I have to rerun this server here. To update the index HTML, pattern slot template, I just added that example to the list of links on the home page of the test server here. So I already tested use state and use state with input. So now we can move on to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more tests. So this test is just testing a select works and also a text area. So I will copy this URL here. And this is use state select text area. Could you please add a test, dictation mode. Could you please add a test state select text area, which visits the URL, paste that, and modifies each input element and verifies the output. Spelling mode, command mode. So I'm just going to go in here and inspect the page. copy the body and paste that in for reference so that it knows what it's trying to test and what the output should be. Paste that. So it was smart enough because in the previous test I was debugging this. Calling fill on the color doesn't actually trigger the change handlers until blur, basically. So I was able to make the test blur the color field by clicking on the body element. That was in the previous test, so when it wrote this test, it was smart enough to see that that was required in the previous test. What is this? It's evaluating. Okay, I'm not sure what the deal with that is. I guess I should put class equals output on the rest of these divs so that the tests can tell the difference between this div, these divs, and the output divs. So I'm going to go through and put class equals output on all of these examples real quick. The use pat slot examples don't use the output pattern. So those tests will be implemented differently, and we'll get to those later. Okay, so maybe I think that should be good. So now we should wait for copy that. Paste that. Let me just double check by refreshing this here that that code is updated. Didn't really work. This should say div class equals output. So something's wrong with my rebuilder. Let's just rebuild everything there. See if that helps. Oh yeah, I think I understand why. I think I can fix that, but I'll fix it later. No, let me fix it right now. Okay, so the problem is in my ES build, I am watching the wrong thing. So that should work now. Yep, class equals output. Good. Okay, so let's rerun these tests. Or let's see. So in my new test, we're looking for div class equals output. Chooses an option thing, adds a comment, adds a color, chooses a color. All right, let's run these tests again. Oh, I didn't actually call the test. Copy that. Press return key. Go to sleep. GitHub Copilot is smart enough to notice that I didn't add the call to the test, so all I had to do was hit tab. All right, let's run them again. Yeah, there we go. So we tested the select and the text area. Use state select text area. Cool, so that worked. So let's just continue writing our tests. Let's use this to make sure that our output debugs have class equals output on them so we can find them more easily. So now use state with selected. So let's see if I look for that got state there, class equals output, good, great. Okay, so let me, first I want to copy this URL. Wake up. Wake up. Copy that. Dictation mode. Could you please add a test? State selected, which navigates to and clicks a radio button and edits the text area and checks the output. All right, now if we go to the inspector, command mode. Paste that. Didn't actually finish correctly. Well, that's good enough. We'll accept that. Press delete key. Press return key. Press tab key. Copy that. Copy that. Paste that. We'll just finish the test since it seemed to time out there. All right, that's looking good. So let's run all these tests again. Again, we didn't actually run the test. Oh, got a little crash there this time. All right, well, what are we doing wrong here? So oh, well, selected is not working. So probably have to blur this. Copy that. Paste that. We don't really need to test person 2. All right, let's see. Oh, crashed again. State 2 got state. Yeah, it's not updating the selected correctly. So we're clicking on person 1, which should set the state, the selected state. Let's see here, person name selected, value equals person 1. That should be setting the selected state, but it's not. So we wait for value person 1, we click it, then we click the body. But when we typed into the name field, it didn't go to person 1. I guess there could be a bug with selected state on Chrome. If I refresh this here, so clicking on person 1 should set selected to person 1. Oh, it's not an input. Wait, what? Input value equals person 1. Is that an input? Radio input? Input type equals radio, I guess? Yeah, it must be. Input type equals radio. Value equals person 1. This doesn't seem to be firing. Let's click explicitly somewhere. Oh. Same thing. Selected's not getting set. Let's try WebKit instead of Chromium. Got undefined. We gotta click off maybe again. Test state select text area. Test state selected. Name and age. We're getting further with WebKit. So I think there's just a bug with selecting radio elements in Chromium that I'll have to fix at a different time. Let's see if clicking off the age should be the last log that we get. All right, let's try it again. Cool. Good. So that worked. All right, so that test is written. Great. All right, so let's move on to the next test. Use state was selected, use state with data binding updates. It's gonna be tough to test. Dictation mode. Could you please add a new test, update, state, where the test asynchronously increments the output every second. Period. Wait for a few output elements to be added and then check to make sure that they are incrementing properly. Period. The URL is all right, let's copy the expected output over. All right, let's just accept this. Command mode. Undo that. Command mode. Well, this test is based on timing, so might not work too well, but let's just run the code that it wrote and see what happens. Yeah, so that test passed, but then the test harness just waits for an hour so I can look at the output to see if a test failed or to see that a test passed successfully. So this is just going to keep running forever. All right, let's move on to the next test. So data binding updates on selection. Waiting for 5 seconds in the test kind of sucks. Let's just wait for 2 for now. TypeScript is mad about this. Well, TypeScript is mad here. Let's set the type of div contents to make TypeScript not as mad. There we go. Finally not null or empty string. All right, so data binding updates on selection. Dictation mode. Dictation mode. Could you please add a test called state selected update which is the same as the previous test, except the URL is and the output looks like something weird with the Copilot interface. Let's just restart Visual Studio Code here. Command mode. Dictation mode. Could you please add another test here, which is the same as the previous test, except the URL is the output is command mode. That test should be fine. Oh man, these tests with delays in them suck. Cool. Yeah, unfortunately, they're just going to be racy. I'll leave them racy for now and think about how I can test these better. Probably make the examples have shorter timeouts, more deterministic rather than just changing the state every second. I'm not sure. Whatever. Okay, so let's just move on to the next test. So we're done with all the use state tests. Now we'll do pattern slot and maybe dialog example B. I'm not sure. Well, we'll see what dialog example is like when we get there. Okay, so for pattern slots, these are easy to test. Dictation mode. Dictation mode. Could you please add a new test whose URL is? And output is. Yeah. Dictation mode. Could you please rewrite this to match only certain selectors? Command mode. Yeah, that looks better. Yeah, we'll see if that works. Oh, we forgot to call the test again. Every time. Every time. Well, those tests that have delays in them are annoying. Oh well. Pattern slot content verified successfully. Looks good. All right. Cool. So the rest of the test should be quite simple. Dictation mode. Could you please add a new test whose URL is and the expected output is output. Well, let's see. So this test has a delay. This element has now been filled. Undo that. Command mode. Oops, I put that down here. Let's move it up here. So which test is this? Test pat slot fill. Yeah, set timeout again. Well, I'll have to figure out some way to not have these timeouts in the tests. All right, did I add the test to the list? I think I did. Test pat slot fill. Cool. All right. Pattern slot template is not working right now, huh? Yeah, I thought there might be something broken here. Template is not exported. What? Can't be used as a value because it was imported using import type. Well, here's where my knowledge of TypeScript is not that great. that's not a type though, that's why. So this should be up here because it's a constructor, not a type, or whatever. I mean, I don't know what the TypeScript terminology is. All right, so if we just, oh, server's dead. Yeah. Able to rebuild this time? Yeah, okay, let's reload. Can't find variable template, right. Pad slot template again. There. All right, cool. Now the template example works. It's just something that I broke a while ago when I was messing with the TypeScript type exports. Still learning TypeScript. All right, so that's all good. Dictation mode. Could you please add a new test with the URL and the expected output let's copy the whole body. Paste that in there. What is up with the bugs here? Command mode. Paste that. Dictation mode. Could you please modify this to check only the data at various selectors? Yeah. Command mode. Name string or undefined. Okay, so Just need those optionals there. No? Style. String or undefined still. Okay, so I thought that I could get rid of this. I don't understand why toString would ever return undefined, but I guess that's just the way it's. Okay, that looks good. So now we don't have a type error anymore. Checking all those. Let's add our test pat slot template. Cool. So let's run these tests again. Pattern slot template content verified successfully. All right, so how many tests do we have? Nested pattern slot. Dictation mode. Could you please add a new test with the URL and check some of the selectors for the given output, but not all of them, since there is a lot of output. Copy the body contents. Paste it in there. I don't know, is pasting HTML into GitHub Copilot messing it up?
It's 4 o'clock.
Great, I think that looks good. Command mode. Nested worked. Right on, right on. This is the footer. All right, so, well, we can test dialogue. I think that's the last example. Use state with input. Use state with select and text area. Use state with selected. Use state with data binding updates, which is the test that takes 3 seconds, and this one also takes 3 seconds. pattern slot fill, pattern slot template, nested pattern slot, and then dialog example. Dictation mode. Could you please write a new test whose URL is and the initial page load is please fill and submit the form and checked that the output is great. Command mode. So there's our last test written. Let's run it. Dialog test completed. Right on, right on. So, all our tests were successfully written quickly by GitHub, Copilot, and Claude. And by priming the prompt with what the test is supposed to do and what the expected output is, the auto-completion basically worked every time. Hope you enjoyed this. It was probably pretty boring, but maybe it was interesting. Hopefully I'll start doing some more coding streams. Hopefully I can end up being a little faster and a little less boring. But who knows whether people are going to like this or not. Thanks for watching.